We've been talking about it for a while. It is that time of year. Lots of bills are dying. Some bills are making it through, most notably AB 1127. That's the Glock ban bill. Let's talk about it. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel today. It is that time of year. We've been talking about it for a while. These bills are either going through to the next house or they are getting stopped in their tracks. We're going to have a video coming out on bills that we have stopped, but we thought because of some voting that was happening today, it would be a little bit more pertinent to talk about a couple of big bills that seem to have made it through the next part of the process to switch houses and start going through committees again. To walk us through that, we have brought back our legislative director here at CRPA. You can also find him on the Firing Line radio show. It's on AM 590 The Answer every Saturday at 1 p.m. That, of course, is Rick Travis. Rick, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And guys, before we get into this today, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the videos. It really helps get this information out there, and this is the one that we want to get out there for sure. These are going to be bills that we're going to have to be advocating against in the upcoming months, June and July, so that we can put a stop to them. While they have made it through to the next house today, we do still have opportunities to stop them. So please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Throw comments down below. Help the algorithms get this video out. We're going to need advocacy against these bills, like I said, in the upcoming months. So Rick, let's talk about one big one, and then I'll ask you about some others in a second. You got, again, what we call the Glock ban bill. This is Assembly Bill 1127. For those who haven't been following along, can you give us just a brief description of what AB 1127 is and what it looks like it'll do if it's signed?
If signed, you will not be able to purchase a Glock, any model of Glock in the state of California.
So, I mean, how is that, though? You've got, I mean, it's called the Glock ban bill. It affects other bills or other firearms as well. What is it about the Glock that the bill looks to ban?
What this bill is, okay, there's two things on it. It's a frustrating bill for a lot of reasons, and we're talking about today because people are frustrated, rightfully so, Kevin. And today is a process. I mean, I've been hammered on, like, why aren't you guys yelling, screaming, jumping up and down? And first thing I want to explain to people is when you see in the legislature that they're voting on a reading, there is nothing anybody can do. Nobody, not even the governor. All it is it's a list of the bills. They're like, yep, these are the bills. They went through their first reading. They went through their second reading. They're not actually read. No one's actually reading the entire bill. It's just a list. Takes about an hour, and then that is a process from moving the bills after they've cleared all the committees, which the bills that we'll talk about, including 1127, have, and they move to the opposing house. It's when they get back to committees, like when these assembly bills go to Senate Public Safety, then we can bring our entire weight to try to defeat those bills, which is what we're going to do. 1127 is by Gabriel. He is the bonehead that gave us our 11% excise tax. So if you didn't already dislike the individual in our community, he wants you to have plenty of reasons to not like him. And so this is another one. There's a thing called a Glock switch. It is illegal. By federal standards, you cannot have it. By state standards, you can't have it. What it does is it enables the firearm to basically be fully automatic, which is against federal law, has been for decades. So it's an illegal item. But what he's saying that there's people putting them on Glocks. So the best way is not to continue to prosecute people for using an illegal attachment, but just to get rid of all the firearms that are based off of the Glock Striker firearm system. So there's a couple other companies that make their firearms off of that exact system. Those would also be subject to the ban, but anything that would be capable of using a Glock switch, which is predominantly Glock, would be banned from being able to be purchased after the bill is signed into law.
Okay, yeah, so you got a couple of things there. You've got the age-old tactic of essentially finding a minor excuse to try and ban firearms. I mean, that essentially is what it is. You're talking about, like you said, something that's already illegal. Let's make it more illegaler by any standard that you have, and in the process, we'll make it illegal so much that you're not going to be able to purchase the firearms at all. So,
Kevin, it's sorry to interrupt you, but this is the equivalent. I mean, and I'm not trying to make light of anything, but The number of people that do this are extremely few according to the FBI records and things like that. But it's the equivalent of someone willfully going out, getting intoxicated, getting behind the wheel of the car, and using the car to target a group of people at a farmer's market. Does it happen? Unfortunately, yes. How often does it happen? Once, twice, maybe a couple more times a year, which is tragic. But then having the state say, you know what? Here's a way we make sure that never happens. No one drives cars anymore. We're just going to get rid of every car because you know what? That's what we should do. What? Like you're going to penalize the millions of people that do nothing wrong, that never illegally drink, get in a car, let alone target people in a crowd? That's exactly what this bill's about. And this is how crazy California is.
Well, yeah, and so definitely something that we're going to want to fight against. You would think that if it ends up being signed into law at the end of the day, it would be something that could be easily attacked in the courts. However, that is also a lengthy process, so we want to make sure and take care of this right here and right now. You kind of started going into the process that happened today as far as voting is concerned on this bill. Can you go a little bit more into that, and when is the time to advocate gonna be for this bill moving forward?
Sure, the term vote inside the legislature can be very misleading. So there's a difference when a bill is like, say, in public safety, you are working one-on-one with a group of about 9 members of the legislature to stop a bad piece of legislation. And so those votes count. When it comes to a vote of the floor, which would be usually it's in August when we're doing that. That's another area where we can get enough votes to stop a bill. Those are places where bills can be stopped, they can be defeated, they can be killed. Process votes, which is like a first, second, and third reading, which moves the bill from one house to the other, or back for what we call concurrence if there's been amendments in the other house that they have to get it concurred in the house that originated in. So, like, for example, the Senate amends a bill, it has to go back to the Assembly if it was an Assembly bill to get them to say, oh, yeah, now you changed it, we still agree. Process votes, nobody, I mean, literally people are pushing buttons. No, it's not the same. And so the weight of this today, it's a process. It's like, you looking at the guy at the gas station or the guy, and they're like, you getting gas? Yeah, okay. Well, technically there was a verbal transaction, but there's no block. If somebody says, no, not okay, you're still filling your car up with gas because you're paying for it. Like it does nothing. So that's why when people are like, shouldn't we be calling in? No, because staff's going to be like, you don't know what you're doing. Like this isn't where you do that. So that's why I tried to tell people. And some of the people out there, I think they mean well, but they get everyone riled up to call in, and people get frustrated because nothing happened. And then they think, oh, well, why call in when it's important? Because nothing happened last time. Well, you called in when nothing could happen. And that's why I wanted to really talk to you today, because it's very important people realize today is not the day that you fight back. That day is coming. It's coming soon. It's going to come later in June when they put out the new committee schedules. We're going to be very on top of this bill, along with a couple other very egregious bills, to make sure that when you raise your voice, when you get your friends to raise their voices, when you push your community to raise their voice, that it gets raised, it gets heard, and it has an impact.
Well, we're definitely going to be looking forward to doing that. Of course, guys, in the description below, click on the link. We do have a landing page where the one-click politics campaigns do end up living. When it's time to put that out, you'll also get an email. So make sure that you're subscribed to the emails, because this is going to be a big one to advocate against. And, as Rick, you're talking about, and we have plenty of conversations about this, timing is kind of crucial on these things. So you want to make sure that you're hitting when the strike is gonna have the most effect. So that's what we're looking forward to there. What else are we looking forward to? We should definitely have another call and talk about the bills that we killed already that didn't make it to the other house. But well, actually, first of all, let me ask you this. This is also something that I'm curious about year after year after year. As far as I understand, we have the limits for the bills that these authors can bring forward now, which might affect this a little bit. But as far as the volume is concerned, what you're seeing move from one house to the other, are we kind of on par with what it normally is? Is it higher or is it lower? What's that
Lower.
overall picture look like to you right now?
It's much lower. I mean, our threshold for stopping bad bills before they got written and published is much higher. The coalition of groups, 2A groups working together to get that done has been amazing. Our ability to get bills blocked in committee has increased greatly. The electorate has a lot to do with that, so keep up the pressure, folks, in helping us out. Our one-click politics, along with the works of many, many other NGOs, nonprofits that work in our space, both on the hunting and 2A side, have helped us defeat a lot of bills. And because of the bill limit, you get reelected. You get to keep your job by how many bills you get across. So when there's this much pushback, they're looking at like, well, I can get another bill with a lot less effort across the line than fighting this. So um, those are all good reasons. The budget, there's a lot of things that have come together on this. But Kevin, most of the authors are looking for somewhere between 15 and 17 bills to introduce in January. Many of them ended up with bills that ended up being 2-year bills, which they have literally less than 20 days to get out of the House of Origin or they die come January. So January is going to be fast and furious, just like, a good part of the latter part of June and all of August is going to be fast and furious. But right now, we have 4 really bad bills that we got to defeat, and we had the potential to come out this year probably the best we have in a decade.
Well, definitely a good nugget in an otherwise frustrating moment here, talking about bills that did make it through to the other house. But that's definitely, and I'm curious about that because that's kind of progression, right? Like you take a little bit more of a proactive approach at the legislature, you start bringing tools into the mix, you start working with other NGOs, and these are the results that it produces. While we are kind of talking about bills that we haven't been able to stop yet, a lot of bills have been stopped. Which, like I said, we should do a video on soon. But the overall progression, we are seeing it here. So you mentioned it already. Let's take your final thoughts here. What are the other bills that we need to watch out for that have made it either from the House to the Senate or now from the Senate to the Assembly?
Just before I get into this, one other comment I would make to everybody listening to this is, look, talking to your friends at the tailgate, in the gun store, at the gun range, etc., those are all positive things. Continue to do that. Continue to do that. But I need you to all to expand it a little bit more. The 8.5 to 9 million gun owners here in California don't all go to the gun range. They don't all go to the gun show. They don't all hang out at the back of your truck. Many of them do other things, and that's one of the things that we're doing effectively is we're going to places outside of that echo chamber of the 2A community to get to the greater 2A community because about 85 to 90% of those who own firearms and believe in the Second Amendment don't hang out with us in our typical places. And so that is why I keep saying we need to normalize the conversation, talk to more people. Look, I'm not asking you to do anything I don't do. I talk to people all the time in grocery lines, at the gas station, and stuff about this very topic and normalize the conversation like it's not a big deal. Because once we can do that, we can really start to motivate people and push back. And here's a great example. The Glock ban bill 1127 is horrible. It's getting a lot of press because a lot of us own Glocks. I get it. But equally horrible is anybody that's shot competitively with a Glock, as an example, or any other pistol firearm. A lot of us that use rifles for hunting or for, steel contest, etc., know that there comes a point where you want to change your barrel, Kevin. You want to change out the barrel. And that's where Senate Bill 704 is horrific because it says, oh, you're going to have to go through a background check and pay a fee every time you want to change a barrel on your firearm. Think about that. Some of us have been able to build a base that we can change out the barrels to afford different calibers, different things like that. This is egregious. Again, and this is the backwardness of Sacramento. Oh, we want to go after accessories and we want to go after this, but then we want to go after the whole. Okay, pick a side, folks. Pick a side. But they're doing everything. So 704 is going to be one that we're going to be fighting and hopefully doing a video on that to really break it down for people. Then you got Berman, who, after the court said you cannot limit people to one firearm a month, that is an infringement on the right. Instead of going, okay, we get it. Nope, not our legislature. Our legislature is like, okay, so one a month is egregious. How about three a month? Yeah, let's go for a limit of three a month. Okay, again, it's unconstitutional. But they say things like, well, who would need to pick up more than three a month? Well, what happens if I saved all my money and I want to take advantage of a sale? Now I can't. Or what happens if I saved my money and I went to an auction and I found four or five that I liked? And that's the only thing I'm going to buy for 3 years. Like this assumption that if you do a three a month, that people are only going to buy, 18 firearms a year or whatever. Stop. A lot of us might buy a bunch of firearms one month and then not buy anything for a couple of years because we're working with a youth program. We're involved in part of our sport. There's lots of reasons for it. And so this is a bad bill, and that's Assembly Bill 1078. And then, a lot of people, God-given right, President George Washington, Kevin, said during his administration that Americans and American gun makers were supposed to be upheld. They were supposed to have the right to do stuff. In the modern era, one of the ways people have been trying to improve firearm safety is using CNC machines, 3D printers, etc. But California now wants to criminalize the sharing of a digital file. So I come up with a safety device, Kevin, because I'm a really good engineer, that makes your hunting rifle safer. It makes it more efficient. It means it's going to be a cleaner kill on the animal. The animal's not going to, okay, that's a win-win-win, but not in California. Because if they get AB 1263 signed into law, it criminalizes me sharing the file so you can make your firearm safer. This is ridiculous.
Well, if you're if you're looking at the recent track record of the California legislature when it comes to things that or decisions that have been made around the budget and things like fires and crime rates that are going on here, they're definitely more interested in losing. But definitely a good point and definitely something to look forward to as far as advocating. Are all of these things coming up in June? Do we have any idea of when these committee meetings are going to be happening? Obviously, we're going to be making videos. We're going to be doing the one-click politics campaigns. Those come to you guys in emails. What does the timeline look like for that, Rick? Is it a similar timeline to the first House of Origin for these, where it goes through a couple of committees?
It's much quicker, and the timeline is quicker for a reason. So we'll have some of these will go in the first, like sometime where around June 10th and thereafter, they'll start scheduling meetings. They're just trying to do that. Everything's not up, so we don't know. We know where some bills are going to be, some aren't. Um, Usually they're trying to mainline some of the bills that they know are going to go through. We have a bill that could go through on what's called consent, which means it doesn't get heard. So they're trying to get all that pushed out of the way. And the reason they're doing that is because then come the last couple of weeks of June and the first week of July is where the holiday is stuck, is they're trying to get as many things slammed through because then they go on break, Kevin, and they go on break from mid-July to mid-August. They're gone. They're out pre-campaigning for the next election, which, yes, they're always starting to do that. And then they'll come back and we have 2 weeks of where they have to slam every committee meeting in, and then they go for the last week. There's no testimony. There's nothing we can do at that point. And then we have the final day of trying to fight and defeat bills before they go to the governor's desk. So literally, we're going to have about 7 days total to fight and defeat these four bills. And those are going to be very targeted. I'm working with you, as you know, to make sure that we get those out. So when people call in, it brings the most pain, the most pressure at the precisely correct time.
And we will certainly be there for that. So guys, I guess that what that means is stand by if you're not already subscribed to the emails. If you don't have the link for the landing page for the one-click politics campaigns, go ahead and bookmark it now. It's going to be time sensitive and it's going to be important. So watch out for the videos and the emails on that stuff. Rick, I know that this is it is a busy time. Lots of things are happening. Lots of votes are happening. I want to thank you for taking a moment and coming on and sharing with us.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And guys, one more time, this is the video to like, share, and subscribe. We got to get this information out there. A lot more advocacy needs to happen before the end of this legislative session. So please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the videos. It's a great way for you to directly contribute to the litigative and legislative campaigns that we have here to further the Second Amendment movement here in California. Thanks again, guys. We'll see you on the next one.